Black women, we have to start making better choices when it comes to the men we allow into our lives. That point is worth repeating. We have to start choosing better men. Back in the mid-1990s, the speaker in this clip was a student at Grant High School on Grand Avenue in Del Paso Heights. And just like virtually every other high school in the black community at that time, there were plenty of attractive young women on campus. There was just one problem. He was broke, not particularly popular, and firmly planted in the friend zone. But before you laugh, he points out that a whole lot of young men were in the exact same position. Here's what was really going on. Many young black men at that time quickly realized they were being outcompeted, not by guys who were doing the right things, but by a very specific type: the standout athlete, the class clown everyone loved, the most popular face in the hallway, the gang member, or the one figure that seemed to have everything a teenager could want, the local drug dealer. And it played out in real time, right in front of everyone. It wasn't unusual to watch a 23 or 24-year-old drug dealer pull up and drive off with his 16 or 17-year-old girlfriend in a clean 5.0 Mustang, while the responsible young men nearby were catching the bus to a friend's house. That was simply the reality of that era, and for a lot of young black men, it was genuinely demoralizing. They had nothing these young women seemed to want, and some of them started questioning themselves, not their masculinity, but their worth in a social sense. Why wasn't being decent enough? Why would a girl laugh at his jokes, take his calls, give him her number, and still keep him permanently in the friend zone while gravitating towards someone headed toward destruction? Many of those same young men eventually found their footing. They put in the work, got serious about their futures, landed solid jobs, or went off to HBCUs and universities. And when they came back, whether to their hometown or a new city, they were different. Physically stronger, financially stable, carrying themselves with a confidence that comes from actually building something. They had leverage they never had before. And sometimes those same men would cross paths with the women who had friend-zoned them years earlier. What they found was often a stark contrast. The same women who were beautiful, smart, and full of potential back in 10th and 11th grade were now raising 2 or 3 children by 2 or 3 different men. And the painful part? Deep down, a lot of those men had seen it coming. They could read where things were headed even back then, but she chose that road anyway. So the real question worth sitting with is, why does this keep happening? Being a responsible young black man is genuinely difficult work. It requires doing the same unglamorous things consistently, day after day, sharpening skills, taking accountability, paying bills, building toward a future where you can actually provide and protect for a family. And for some young women who haven't yet been exposed to what that kind of discipline actually looks like up close, it can read as boring. It can look like weakness. It can seem like the kind of energy that doesn't carry any excitement. Meanwhile, the guy with the street credibility, the athlete with the spotlight, the physically attractive man with an edge, that energy feels different. It feels immediate and exciting and intriguing, so the choice gets made in that direction. And then, predictably, reality arrives. One child by the end of the first year, then another. And suddenly, the man who felt so magnetic and exciting just 2 years earlier is now a completely different story. He's not present. He's not providing. He doesn't prioritize the children he helped bring into the world. And the woman who made that choice is left navigating
family environment. What makes you think that he's just gonna up one day and be like, I'm gonna be an awesome...
If he had no work ethic, no vision for his future, and no genuine interest in building a family, and you could see all of that clearly, why did you have a child with him? That is a question many black men have been sitting with for a long time, and it deserves an honest answer. Now, there are situations where a man genuinely commits. He looks a woman in the eye and says he wants to build something with her, that he's ready to settle down, that he wants to start a family. That happens. But in a significant number of cases, these men never made any such promise. They were exactly who they showed themselves to be from the very beginning, and the women who chose them knew it. The character was visible, the patterns were already there, and yet the choice was made anyway. It also needs to be said that responsible black men haven't always been overlooked entirely. A good black man can absolutely be recognized and valued in his own community. But there's a particular dynamic that tends to show up. When a man is perceived as stable and dependable, he sometimes gets mentally filed away as a guaranteed option. The thinking becomes, he'll always be around, so there's no urgency to prioritize him right now. He's safe. He's not going anywhere. And that assumption, more often than not, leads somewhere painful. Because here's what's actually true about a lot of the men who carry that street appeal. The one thing they are genuinely committed to is the streets themselves. Commitment to a woman, to a household, to a stable relationship, that tends to be a foreign concept. And in many cases, the only moment these men seriously consider settling down is when the streets are no longer an option. Either they're headed to prison, or they've simply aged out of that lifestyle and can no longer attract the attention they once could. The appeal fades, the access disappears, and suddenly a stable relationship starts looking attractive for the first time. And on the other side of that same coin, a similar pattern plays out with some of the women who rejected the responsible men earlier in life. They passed on the consistent, dependable guys, written them off as too boring, too safe, not exciting enough. Then, years later, after children, after difficult experiences, after time has reshaped their priorities, they circle back to those same men, expecting to be received with open arms, expecting, essentially, a discount on something they once didn't consider worth purchasing at full price. That dynamic is worth examining honestly on all sides. Which brings us to a story that recently went viral and connects directly to this conversation. Blueface was released from prison after serving time related to a shooting incident in Las Vegas that was captured on camera. After his release, he was publicly involved with multiple women and made no attempt to conceal it. His situation with Krishan Rock had already played out in full view of the internet, every chaotic chapter of it documented and dissected publicly.
Whatever you're trying to do.
Kids could never be in the way of what I'm doing. Ever.
Okay. Well, hey, do what you do, baby. You know it all.
Regular. Hello.
I won't be there for you.
Yeah, well, good thing.
Yeah.
So then, therefore, there's child support for you.
Oh.
If you're not gonna be around, child support.
All right. I'll send you $500 a month. That ain't gonna do for me.
I guess. I
The
bet.
fuck?
And it ain't gonna do it for me either. Still a
All
little
right.
punk ass 500.
If that's what it's worth, that's to come up.
Who is that?
Go right the fuck ahead, baby girl.
Huh?
I said if that's what it's worth, if you think that'll be a positive thing in your life, I can't tell you nothing.
I brought the bullet. Okay.
I got $500 a month. That ain't nothing.
Alrighty.
All right.
Guess only time will tell.
Oh yeah, only time will tell.
Hello.
The reality of that situation is telling. There's footage of Blueface standing in front of another woman, one he is reportedly involved with, while simultaneously on the phone and telling the mother of his child that $500 a month is all she's going to get from him. That's the offer. $500 a month, delivered while another woman stands right there in the same frame. And here's where the broader frustration comes in. When situations like this play out, the conversation too often shifts from the specific choice that was made to a sweeping generalization about all black men. Suddenly, one man's behavior becomes the defining characteristic of an entire group. And that kind of thinking does real damage, not just to the men being unfairly painted with the same brush, but to the women who allow it to close doors that should remain open. So this is a moment to give real recognition to the black men who are out here doing the work quietly and consistently. The brothers in the trucking industry, the plumbers, the accountants, the engineers, the medical professionals, the men clocking in at jobs that don't come with glamour or social media attention but keep families stable and bills paid. These men wake up at the same time every morning, follow the same disciplined routine, handle their responsibilities without complaint, and somehow get treated like that reliability is a character flaw rather than a virtue. What needs to be understood is that genuine manhood, the provider, the protector, the builder, is fundamentally a utilitarian way of living. It is not flashy. It is not designed to be exciting or entertaining. It is rinse and repeat. It is doing what needs to be done every single day to take care of your family, lead with integrity, put the people you love before yourself, and show up consistently regardless of whether anyone is watching or applauding. That is what real masculinity looks like in practice. But certain women have been conditioned to misread that steadiness as weakness and to mistake loud, aggressive, street-oriented behavior for strength.
A man who talks constantly about what he's going to do to someone, who performs toughness without ever actually building anything, that's not masculinity, that's a performance of it. And the distinction between genuine strength and performed bravado is one that carries enormous consequences when ignored. The pattern that keeps emerging is this. Beautiful, childless women with real potential choose men like Blueface, men who already have multiple children, who have demonstrated clearly who they are, and willingly accept the position of baby mother. They compete for one day out of the week. They fight other women for scraps of attention, and they bypass the black man who is educated, employed, emotionally grounded, and genuinely ready to love and commit, the man who would make them a wife, not a rotation. And then, when that same responsible black man eventually builds his life with someone who recognized his value, sometimes a woman outside of his community, the question gets asked with genuine confusion. Why is he with her? Does he think he's better than us? The answer isn't that he thinks he's better than anyone. The answer is that he went where he was wanted. And from a male perspective, a man who hears that a woman has been romantically involved with someone like Blueface, regardless of how attractive she may be, is going to have serious reservations, not out of cruelty, but out of self-preservation. The choices a person makes reveal something about where they are mentally and emotionally, and a man who is serious about his future has to take that into account. The core message running through all of this isn't about tearing anyone down, it's about accountability and pattern recognition on all sides. The choices made in youth have consequences that follow people into adulthood, and until those patterns get examined honestly, the cycle is going to keep repeating itself.